Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Snowberger, the host of Real Estate on the Rocks. And I'm joined in the studio today with Marshall Tucker.
Hello.
There you go. And the new guy behind the glass, James Mendez.
What's going on?
What's going on, James? How's everything shaking out today, fellas?
It's going pretty good.
Rolling.
Knocking out some
All right.
recordings.
I'm going to have to remind Marshall real quick. Your microphone is over there.
my
There
bad.
you go.
My
There
bad.
you go. It's not on my lap. All right, man. Once again, we're going to break into this whole thing where we were talking about building a brand. So we've been studying some things over the past couple of days. And one thing that we're really good at, I like to think we're really good at, is building that top of mind awareness, which we call TOMA, which in a sense is building your brand, right? And so my brand, our brand, is on the real estate side of this whole thing, on the real estate sales side, is the Snowberger Realty Group, right?
Yep.
And so, we've been after that for a few years. We were, Keller Williams United Group for the longest time. And then I decided to break off and do the Snowberger Realty Group and leave the old group behind. And, just a lot of the marketing that we had done, we were very brand specific with that name, and I wanted to go and really create my own brand, and that's what I did here was with Snowberger Realty Group. I grew up in Austin, Texas, and a lot of people around me knew me, and they just thought maybe that I worked for a certain broker, which is true. I don't work for them, but I have my business. I was under their umbrella, being Keller Williams, and still am. However, now it's Snowberger Realty Group. And so I was surprised to see when I did break off and I started doing all the marketing and a relaunch of the brand, of how much interaction I got telling me congratulations. Congratulations on breaking off on your own. And so it was certainly true. It was what I was thinking was that most people weren't associating KW United Group with Dave Snowberger. They just knew that I was an agent for KW United Group, not that I was the, principal of the group and the founder of the group. And so when I put my name on it, there were mixed emotions there too about, was I going to, sorry, Goose, were we going to pigeonhole ourselves because in Austin, Texas, I have a decently known name because I grew up here. I service the area I grew up in. I live there still. I work there still. Where I went to high school is where some of my like sister's kids went to high school, and so they carried the same name, the Snowberger name. So the teachers still knew me, the ones that were there, and so it's Austin's still a relatively small town, right? And so the thought behind that was to get more exposure in the smaller market and then grow the brand to where we could branch off into the bigger market.
Yeah, because we had some good conversations about that.
Right.
Because, when we're laying everything out on the table was, okay, that's great here. Let's think large, because we were obviously planning as a team to not be just a one city team. So how is that going to look for us, as we spread to different cities in Texas, as we spread outside of Texas? And so we got to have a really good debate on what we thought about that, our own opinion.
Right.
And then, okay, well, what does the market say? Like we kind of looked around at different teams, and it all came back to pretty much the same thing, is it doesn't really matter. It's what we build it.
Yeah, right. It's the way we build it, and we can go get business anywhere in any city.
Yeah.
We just have to have the right plan, and the right, put our systems in place, put our value in place, and we should be able to carry the brand, whatever it's called, to that marketplace. So what do you think, Marsh? I see you texting over there. Am I interrupting you or
no?
not?
I'm not texting. I want to dumb it down a little bit and explain to the audience what exactly a brand is. What is a brand, Dave?
Why are you calling the audience dumb?
I'm saying I'm trying to dumb it down for myself. Like, what is a brand? What are y'all talking about? What is a brand?
Tell me.
It says that the actual definition is a type of product manufactured by a particular company under a particular name, or an identifying mark burned on livestock or criminals or slaves of branding iron.
You should probably have read that first before you
I
just
probably
read that
should
out loud.
have.
It started strong.
Can we cut that? But I guess branding is definitely is basically the name. So we're talking about a name.
Right. So building that is it's definitely been a conversation between us all because it's my name and I have team members on my team, right? So do they want to be known as that? That was one of the reasons why I went with the KW United group in the first place, was we were a group of 5 agents entering Keller Williams from another brokerage, and nobody wanted to use anybody's name, and we definitely didn't want to do the Keller Williams approach and be like, Snowburger Burns, that's kind of a funny one anyway, but that was one of the team members' names. Or Snowburger St. Clair or anything like that. Nobody wanted to do that kind of branding, and nobody really wanted to take the bull by the horns except for me, but nobody wanted to go by, they wouldn't let me be in charge. However, when shit hit the fan, I was always the one in charge, and just kind of like they would all look to me for
Dave.
They would all look to me for, well, what are we going to do, Dave? And it was kind of like, well, I'm not in charge. You guys elected nobody was in charge. We were a group of 5.
Who's going to pay for this, Dave?
Right. And so it came down to that, though, was how we looked at that wasn't the smartest way. But then again, we didn't know how to build a team back there. And I certainly didn't know how to build a brand back then, and the more that I've learned and put myself as back to being the student over the past 5 years, I've realized the importance of actually building the brand and having your name essentially in the lights. Like we have Marshall Tucker over here. Marshall Tucker has a really well-known name. Just him having that name hits people's RAS. Right. So their reticular activating system, they've heard his name before. And they're like, oh, how do I know your name? Oh, there's a famous musician named Marshall Tucker. And usually he's so good that he can sit there and bring it up and say, and have a conversation with them about the Marshall Tucker band or whatever else, and just, or he says, yeah, like Marshall Tucker, like the band. And I used to think it was cheesy, or the rock star. Sorry. And so now he kind of creates that whole play all words, which is advantageous to him. What's advantageous to me is my last name, Snowburger, is very unique. There's not a lot of Snowburgers around, and if they are, they're more around like Ohio and New York, and they're a bunch of Northerners, and I'm here in Texas, so therefore, I'm kind of down here where there's not a lot of Snowburgers, so that kind of helps me out. Now James Mendez, that's a different story.
There is a significant population, Mexican population with the same last name.
Right.
So that's all right, though.
It's important to point out also that there's different levels of branding. There's brands within brands. So my personal brand, Marshall Tucker, is a brand underneath Dave Snowburger or the Snowburger Realty Group,
right,
which is a brand under Keller Williams. So, I mean, there's different levels of that as well.
Right. So what are we doing to kind of promote the brand and build it these days?
So we're launching a couple different aspects. So we wanted to do a more like diverse kind of projects because we have different interests and different platforms. So we're doing and the different type of content we're creating. So we're building the YouTube pages, the social media pages. We're doing long form content, short form blog content. We're just kind of creating a lot of different stuff. And so what we were talking about and kind of brought up a couple of times is how are we all pushing the primary brand for the real estate team with also promoting some of the other facets in our own brand, and what it ultimately comes down to stave off, people getting worried about you taking away from the business brand is you're supposed to be doing a lot of content to create awareness about yourself and how great you are and all the great things you do, but it ties back to your team or to your main one. Right. And so that way everybody gets to know, like, trust you as a person, as your the business capabilities and things you are passionate about. Right. But you also like link back or a portion of your content reverts back to the whole premise for what you're doing is for us, example. Yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff. We're out in the community. We're trying to do all these great things. And then we're also constantly pointing back like the team. And it just kind of creates, and as we're all doing that, taking part in creating content, right? We're posting on our page, we post it on the team page, we post like the properties we sell, the properties we lease for clients, investor stuff, that as we create more content for that, it just brings everything back around. So same thing we're doing with the Top Shelf Agent group. The reason why we're doing the podcast is to pour back into agents, while we're doing Wilco Eats, the different side projects, right? All funnel into the one like main focus. It's just different type of contents for different audience.
Right. Okay. And so like we're kind of tasked right now with growing a couple different brands. Like you had mentioned the Top Shelf Agents brand, in which the Real Estate on the Rocks podcast is a subsidiary of that. And so that's a product of that, we're the Top Shelf Agents, and we're bringing you this awesome podcast, called Real Estate on the Rocks. And so that lives under that brand, which TSA lives under the brand of, basically Snowburger Holdings. Right. And then so everybody has our, and then that Snowburger Holdings has to deal with that side brand of Keller Williams, then Keller Williams is the brand of what? Yeah. Realtor. And so
it gets pretty complicated as you like really look at the whole thing. But the most important thing is so people don't get lost in the weeds of, well, I have to create everything. Right. Well, no, you just create like little buckets, little pieces of areas you can provide the content, and you only have to start with the smallest thing is you and the team.
Right. The brokerage takes care of their own brand. Yeah. We just got to take care of our team and ourselves.
Yep. Right on.
Exactly.
Buckets. Here he goes with the buckets again.
I know.
This guy likes buckets. We like funnels. You like buckets.
Well, you have buckets to house all our compartmentalized thing. Funnels, I look at funnels as getting or moving people through a funnel. Mm-hmm. Like you're getting clients and moving them through that. So, bringing them into your sphere, and then they're going to come out somewhere, whether it's paid as a pay for a client through a business transaction or followers to provide good, quality content. Like we're providing these great shows and talking about important content to help people survive and not die off in their business. Are we making money off every individual agent who listens to this? Nope.
Right. No.
But that's not the point. We're trying to, come from abundance and really pour into people, because it sucks in your first couple of years.
Oh my God, it
making
sucks.
Things and you're struggling to understand contracts or where I should talk to people or how to talk to people or, social media. Like there's so many things you don't know.
There's so many things, but that's the thing is that most people see there are so many things, and so they just don't do anything at all.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I like about Top Shelf Agents. It tries to put you into action or just kind of hints around to what you need to put yourself in action. Yeah. That's the thing with us this far. What's up, bud?
How do we start? How do we start building our brand?
You just start doing it just a little bit at a time. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
So what's that look like as a brand is really land on that. What is your brand? Identify who you are. Identify what you're trying to do, and then identify who's your audience, who's your potential audience. You always talk about building yourself an avatar of your perfect.
Just gonna say that.
Your perfect person. Well, I'll let you run with it. Go ahead.
So you're better able to focus on who you're on your direction of your business if you understand the client you're trying to get to. And the easiest one, Jay Massey talked about it for investors, and you can use the same, like tweak it. But you have your like Walmart, Target, and Nordstrom's. Those different classes of avatars have very specific wants and needs. So find out something you are more inclined to understand. Like say if you grew up in, middle class kind of family, you're naturally going to gravitate and have that understanding because you grew up through that. And so that could be your bread and butter. What's the demographics of it? The job types, the areas they live in, kind of build out what you really know and then start marketing towards those people. That doesn't mean you have to stay permanently with those, that demographic, but build that out, and that'll be your wheelhouse, and that'll be the biggest driver of business towards you because you can easily relate to those people.
Right.
Like I can relate to military across the board of any branch significantly faster than I can most people because I've started that.
Been there, done there.
Yeah. From, right out of high school. Where other people struggle to understand different concepts or acronyms and stuff like that, zero problems. So something like that could be depending on your community.
Right.
But start providing content for those. Like you set up a Facebook business page, which is simple. It walks you through it. Write little blog posts or posts about that. Put pictures on there and just market yourself or provide content that gears toward your avatar, the person or the ideal customer is your avatar.
And just have your page come from contribution, keep it 80-20. 80% personal life, 20% business, typically on the business pages. We go in the Snowburger Realty group, and it's kind of overwhelming with the amount of real estate that's on it, and
we slowed down with personal posts recently.
Well, and that's the funny thing is because I think I don't like to do lame stuff. And to me, everybody that's posting real estate videos and the same like just listed stuff and all that, it just boring to me.
Yeah.
And if it's boring to me, it's got to be boring to others because I'm just an average Joe that is, I like the same music everybody likes, and there's nothing that's really screaming, that I'm just off the beaten path and unique. It's just kind of like the general masses of public when it comes to that stuff is what I'm seeing. If everybody's posting all the stuff, why are you posting it? And that's where I got in my head. But it didn't slow down on the Snowburger group. However, it slowed down on my personal page.
Yeah.
Because I used to mix up my personal page and put real estate stuff on there, and I really don't.
Yeah.
But there's something to say to that because this year I haven't had to come list me's like I've had in the past, right? Mm-hmm. And so I haven't had all the people reaching out to me saying, hey, what's going on? It's time to list my house, and hey, you still doing that real estate thing? And that's one thing realtors always get asked, right? Mm-hmm. And I was always priding myself that you would never have to ask me that. It's very prevalent that I'm in real estate, if you just look on my page, that'll tell you. But then I go back and I thumb through it and I more concentrate on the Wilco Eats, and I haven't really ever done the tie down through the brand building through Wilco Eats. Wilco Eats is almost its own separate brand, which if any of you out there want to know what Wilco Eats is, you can look on it on Facebook or follow us on Instagram. It's just
YouTube too.
Oh yeah, YouTube also. Sorry, it's just a page where I do little food videos and reviews on stuff, and that was always the main goal was to build that through the brand and then pull it into real estate.
Yeah,
and have that and share in the audience right there. And I still have never done that because I just it's almost like I built Wilco Eats up to a point to where I didn't want to scare anybody off when I introduce real estate into it.
Yeah.
But now I'm just going to have to do it. So,
but you can do that. And, which those things are, that's an awesome idea. And a lot of people can do that. Actually, some people have different production level. Right. You don't have to have the fully, high end production. Like you've had, like top level stuff for that. Right. You can just do like a couple of your quick ones you've done. Is turn your camera around and talk about the food that you're eating or the location, like they do Small Business Saturdays. You can do the same thing for your community in that same, whatever area you're going to focus in. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do like, Central Texas. Like that's a little excessive.
It's a little big,
unless you have the bandwidth and the infrastructure to support it.
But typically you don't. A smaller brand like us, we don't have the brand bandwidth to take on something like that.
Yeah, so you can do local areas and provide, talk to the local businesses, highlight them and stuff like that. Makes you more of a local area expert, which helps.
Right. And Wilco Eats is the county, right? So it's Williamson County, and even Williamson County's huge. And then we don't always eat in Williamson County, and some of the best restaurants around are in Travis County, right over the little border. Yeah. I mean, basically where our office is, we sit right in the middle of the border, and so some days we go over there. So I created the Wilco Eats on the go, so that way I was doing the stuff, and people were like, "That's not in Williamson County." It's like, well, you know what?
Mind your business.
I eat other places.
They border each other. It's right next door.
I eat other places. That's your mic right there. I'm going to tell you again.
My bad.
Okay, so. We got new mics in the studio, and
I'm still learning.
Having a rough time figuring out what that device is right in front of his face.
I thought it was a speaker.
I thought it was pantyhose.
What?
Anyway, so that goes along with building the brand is one thing that I took in from a fellow out there named John Sheplack, I believe, if that's how you say it, but picked him up on a podcast one time. Really smart guy, but he talked about parasocial behavior. We've touched on this in the past, but this is a big one about really building your brand and staying omnipresent in people's lives and basically celebritizing yourself in your sphere or in your community. Is that you're doing so much video, you're doing so much just press. Just you're throwing out postcards to the neighborhood. You're doing like this, a podcast maybe for the local area. Yeah. You're doing a lot of stuff. You're just staying present in people's lives. There's that parasocial behavior that they can't tell between their brain when they see you. I know this sounds like a reach, but they can't tell the difference between you and George Clooney. Right? Yeah. It's the same thing for them. Now, obviously, they know you're not George Clooney. That's not what I'm getting at.
I'm way better looking.
Yeah, Marshall's way better looking. What? You look like you were about to agree with him. Oh my gosh, James was going to agree with him. Yes, Marshall, you are good looking.
Faces for podcast.
Yeah, got a face for radio, Marshall.
Face for podcast.
But you can't necessarily, your brain doesn't separate the fact that you're not a celebrity. So they see you, and where do they see George Clooney all the time? On the screen, right?
Yep.
Or on the computer, or on, like maybe a Kardashian. They see them on their phones all the time, on different stuff, on different advertising, maybe commercials that are running, whatever else. And now you're the person always on Instagram, always on Facebook, always on YouTube. You also are being viewed on their what is this called?
Cell phone.
Platform of choice, right?
Yeah.
Their cell phone. And then they're taking that. Well, their brain basically puts you into that you're a celebrity bucket.
Yeah.
And so when it's time for you to list a home, or when my sign goes up in a neighborhood and they see that my face is on the sign and they put two and two together. I mean, I've been in the grocery store. I bring this up all the time. But like, people are like, oh, I know you. How do I know you? And I'm like, I sell real estate in town. My face is on a sign. I've got quite a bit of listings around here, and they're like, that's it. You're selling my neighbor's house. Like, yep. And so boom, there's no sale there. There's no anything. It's like, I introduce myself. My name's Dave Snowberger, blah, 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 blah. If my sign's ever down, ever falls down, give me a call on my number. That's my actual cell phone number on the sign. Yeah. And so they're like, oh, okay, cool. So now they know that if they ever need to get in touch with me, that they can just call the cell phone sign
and they have
the number.
And someone just called, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, saying like, oh, the sign was down.
Yeah.
Or something happened and they called you and they're like, oh, where'd you get the number? You're like, it was on your sign, it fell down or something.
I didn't expect you to pick up the phone though. And I'm like,
that's right.
Why not?
You called my number.
Yeah, it's just a real estate sign. Yeah. It wasn't a billboard. But anyway,
we heard the billboard thing earlier or on the podcast when we were showing sending back and forth notes and stuff to content to take in. And they're saying that, especially for people who are building their brand, is don't try and calculate an ROI for every single thing. Not everything is measurable for an exact ROI from post to transaction. A lot of it is is just awareness, like billboards. Yeah, like your billboards, you're not going to calculate how that somebody saw the billboard, which then translated into X purchases of a product. It's just branding. It's just people understanding who you are and what you are. Like people, like they said in there, you associate Nike by wearing Nike. You're not just saying, "Oh, I like the store." No. You're saying that it's a lifestyle.
Right.
Fitness is a lifestyle. There's certain brands have a perception about them. And then that's really what you're just trying to build.
Okay, it's like Budweiser beer. Like you go to the stadium, right? So you go to the stadium and then you see Budweiser up on the screen. Like they do a ton of marketing. So while you're in the stands, they recall that Raz, they hit your Raz, and that way they can keep top of mind awareness. Oh, Budweiser does sound good. Yeah. And so they go get it right then and there. It's readily available to them. Next time the guy with the beer comes down, more than likely he's carrying Budweiser in his, little basket
tray thing. Yeah. So. But what do most adults think of when they're going to like a baseball game?
Beer and hot dogs.
Beer and hot dogs.
Yep.
My
That's what I think about.
Yep. We did that when we went to Angel Stadium back. Took my grandparents to a game, and that's exactly what we got because that's what I associated with going to the game and sitting there.
Like popcorn at a movies.
Yeah. Like there's some things that are just built into the experience that you don't think about. You just expect it to be there because that completes that whole the whole feeling and everything.
Well, they know that. So they know that you're going to get a beer. And so that's why they hammer you with advertising.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're seeing it all around you.
Right. So getting a beer. Now they just made the decision making easy for you. And I'm going to get a Bud Light, Budweiser's like drinking freaking butter. But
I'm not a Budweiser fan.
Yeah. I used to crush some Bud Lights back in the day.
Yeah.
I haven't had one of those in a while, but more into the craft beer stuff.
Especially in Austin.
That's you this time.
Oh, man. You have to mute it.
My ringer's off.
Oh, that's because it's on the computer.
Oh, my gosh. It's on the laptop.
Wow. That was James.
We're having some technical difficulties today.
Anyway, building a brand. Go ahead.
Yeah. Not just, we focus on a lot of the content and like real estate stuff and marketing stuff, but another good thing is your personal life and passion and stuff. And Marshall does a great job about that. And he was talking about it earlier. Is not just business stuff.
Frog.
Yep. Frog. You want to crush that one?
Yeah, we do a family recreation organization.
There's your mic right there.
That's family, recreation, occupation, and goals, or Ford, like some people like.
Just keep it simple.
But mine all started off when I started posting on my kids. So, my son was born. We adopted my daughter. I started posting things on that. People started loving it. And I was like, wow, people love this. I've never had anything really useful to post before. So I kept doing it. I kept posting family type things, things about my kids and things that I thought were, cool events. And it seemed to resonate with people. People have lives also. People have children. People have wives. And they go about the same things that I'm doing. So I think really my niche was family.
Yeah, and it's even worked on me.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that like this weekend I needed a house shown on Sunday or whatever, and what do? What was my old go-to? Was always going to you.
Oh yeah.
Always going to you like, Marshall, can you show this house out here? And you would always be like, yeah, I can make time for it, and just
Absolutely.
always willing to do whatever for the team. And I love that. But then the other day I was like, boom. And then I saw like pictures of you with your kids, or your kid, I guess, had fallen out of the tub and banged up his chin.
Yep. Got
and
stitches.
I was like, I can't even, you volunteered right away. He's like, I can make some time to run out there. What time? And I'm like, nah. I'm not taking away a Sunday from you, So it was like I saw your pictures right there with your family and everything, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that Sunday, And I was like, I'll just go show it myself.
Yeah, and you can't be selfish either.
So
if you see other
so then I took away time from my family. I'm just kidding.
No, but it works great to make that connection, and it humanizes you instead of just the constant post of business, because then people start tuning that out. They can start.
I look at other agents' pages sometimes, and I examine it, and I can see that they have 2,000 or 3,000 friends, and they're only having 1 or 2 or 3 likes on things that they post. And you look on there, they're at 80% business, 20% family.
Yeah.
If they just switch that around, like even when I do family posts right now, I get 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 likes, and I post business stuff on there about 20% of the time. No, I get likes. I get engagement on it because I'm also liking other people's stuff. I find out what they do, how do they work, and I try to promote what they're doing. You just got to be engaged in what they're doing as well, and then people will be engaged in what you're doing.
No, absolutely. I was seeing the different stuff, but like I've posted some posts on there on my Facebook before where we've got interactions of like 800, right? So 800 likes. And that does great for your relevancy score, right? And so that right after you do that, and then you've got 800 likes, that is prime time to drop in there something about real estate, because more people the algorithm has worked in your favor, and there's more people right there, that are attached to your page and seeing your content come up. Yep. But then right after you jab with the family stuff, it's a right hook with a little bit of real estate, and then right back over, because I don't care. People can argue this fact with me. You need to stay relevant and omnipresent in people's lives, and they need to know you're in real estate all the time. People are very forgetful. The marketplace is a busy place, and you have to stay mindful of that. People have to remain to know what you do. What you do every day on a day-to-day basis is that you help people solve problems. You sell real estate, right? Yeah. And so all those people out there that we're gaining their know, like, and trust they're doing they're doing business with us. And so that's important to me. That's how I run my stuff. However, sometimes I dip. Like I said, I haven't had a real estate post on my page. It's probably, I always look at things because I'm on an iPhone, like, it's like at least 5 thumb throughs. Takes me 5 times to scroll up with my thumb to find something I posted about real estate. Yeah. And usually it's something with the brand. It's a picture of Austin with my logo on it, with my face on it. And it just kind of sends out a reminder to everybody, like, hey, still in real estate, still here. Yeah. I'll post one today before we leave, because I've got 25 things already made. Yeah. What I do in my downtime, I'm such a dork, is that I go into one of my apps like Over, and I just sit there and create content. We've got a green screen in our studio here, so I just take pictures of myself, and then cut them out. I use another Adobe app to cut it out, and then I can superimpose those on pictures of cool stuff around the town. Yeah. And then throw my logo on them. And
360 bridge one is a solid go-to one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Thank you.
Like I said, I just took one of Open Doors pictures off one of theirs. So I don't want to. I don't know who took that picture, so I don't want to steal their photo rights. So I won't post it. I was just more of a joke that I could take Open Doors' whole ad and just change it out to be me. That's how fun some of my apps are.
That's awesome. Should line it out, but closed door.
Yeah.
Closing the door.
Yeah, closing the door. Goodbye, iBuyer. Anyway, man, what else you got on this? I mean,
this was some of the notes from our previous post about the apps and stuff. And I mean, that's how you're going to build a lot of your brand, is getting apps. Get free apps. Always start with free apps and just start building stuff. Like, have fun posting things. You can do like funny memes. I did one actually little Bitmoji on myself and toss that on a couple pictures, but I couldn't filter out the background, so I had the little white background on the stupid picture. Just because of the app I was using. But I had fun. Like, it was a cool like little one. It's like a working in I think it was like a cafe or something like that, and wrote some notes on there and just posted that up there and just having fun with things. And as you constantly do that stuff, you get less. Like, I just had a friend, oh man, it killed me. He's like, hey man, you still in real estate? I was like, yeah, you should know that. You actually asked me for information about a home you were thinking about buying, which is more that area he's in. He's renting. He wants to own there, but that price is significantly higher than what the rents are. So he's looking around for other areas, but yeah, I'm clearly not staying as present in a mind with everybody.
You need to. In 2018, my sphere of influence accounted for like 37% of our business.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Open up those Facebooks. Don't make them private.
Yeah, Marshall's sphere was like 14% or something. So we're pushing close to 50% of our business came in off of our sphere. Yeah. And so it's just creating that top of mind awareness and staying present and asking the right questions. I mean, don't be an undercover agent, right?
Yeah.
And so just always be out there kind of beating your chest, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And some people don't operate like that.
Yeah.
Those are the first ones a lot of times to find themselves out of the business.
Get over the fear of self-promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're still having telephone technical difficulties here. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Appreciate everybody listening today. In the studio is Dave Snowberger, Marshall Tucker, and the new guy, James Mendez, over here. Don't forget to go to Facebook and look for Top Shelf Agents. You can follow us or send us a request to join that group, or follow us on Instagram for that one. Mike Harrell. Mike Harrell is our team's lender. He lends all the way from California to Texas to Arkansas. He's a hell of a guy. If you've got anybody in the Austin area that's looking to get qualified, or in the Texas area looking to get qualified, just hit him up on info@realestateontherocks.com. Once again, we're always looking for those 5-star reviews. So on any platform, any podcast platform that you listen to, give us a 5-star review if we have earned it. Anything else, fellas?
We've earned it.
We've definitely earned it. More episodes coming soon.
All right. Once again, we appreciate it. Real Estate on the Rocks. We're out.
I'm out.